Hello, I'm Amy Zaley with the Jerusalem Connection Red Alert Report for Wednesday, December 26th. Merry Christmas to the millions of Christians who celebrated Christmas yesterday, and to the Orthodox Christians who have another 2 weeks to gear up for their celebrations. Let us also remember that Jesus was Jewish. Which brings me to an interesting segue, as Jesus did take refuge in Egypt for several years during his childhood. And the Christian community in Egypt is pretty significant at approximately 15% of the population. Egypt's government has released a press announcement that they will be spending millions of dollars restoring and preserving Jewish sites all over Egypt, including those in Cairo. Please keep in mind that the Egyptian government did confiscate these Jewish sites during the 40s and 50s when they expelled Jews or Jews fled during the reign of Nasser. Their assets and the Jewish sites became the property and under the control of the Egyptian government. Coptic Christians in Egypt have long lived under an oppressive regime with the Egyptian government, and both the Jewish people that were left, which is less than 100 that we know of, and the Coptic Christians as a whole always had to seek permission from the government in order to fix anything at their sites, their holy sites, and these things were often denied by the government. In this change of heart with the Jewish sites, I'm hoping that that also extends to the Christian community. Now, there is some speculation that the Egyptian government is doing this for the sole purpose of increasing tourism revenue, especially those from Jewish tourists. However, this may be the case, but the current Egyptian president has also expressed outwardly that he would like to see Egypt have a more freedom-centered and religious tolerance atmosphere. So any combination of these reasons for why they're putting the money into the Jewish sites, I think should be considered, but should not dismiss the notion that these Jewish sites will get careful preservation and restoration, hopefully with people that are passionate about doing the work on the ground. Someday, perhaps, Egypt might return those assets to the Jewish community if the Jews actually return to Egypt. But in the meantime, at least these sites are getting attention and restoration. And it kind of reminds me of the story of Solomon, where he told the two women who are fighting over the child, we can either split the baby and destroy it, or one mother can take it. And the real mother said the other woman can take it because she valued the child to be kept in one piece, whole and healthy. So I think we need to look at the sites right now in that way, that these sites will be whole and healthy, and that someday they would return to their rightful place of jurisdiction at least. Next door in Israel, and inside that, the West Bank and Samaria, Airbnb is still sweating the backlash that it is receiving from its recent announcement to delist properties with Jewish owners that are in the quote-unquote disputed territories. Israeli ministers have been calling Airbnb representatives in for talks, and Airbnb is now starting to realize that they have to reconsider their position. They have publicly expressed that these delistings are not for BDS efforts and in proponents of those in namesake ideas. However, during meetings, they expressed verbally that they would put the listings back, and then later said that they would not put the listing back. They're also getting attention from 26 United States legislatures because they have anti-BDS laws on their books, so that might preclude them from doing business there. The state of Illinois, for example, voted to not put any of their pension and investment funds into Airbnb's company. So the ISO for Airbnb is now at risk. A federal lawsuit may come to pass because an anti-BDS bill, which is bipartisan, is poised for passing very soon. Because Airbnb is located its headquarters in California, it falls under federal jurisdiction in America. Again, while they tout that they are not part of the BDS movement with these delistings of these properties in Judea and Samaria, they also have not addressed why they have not delisted properties in other so-called disputed areas around the world, for which there are many. In other year-end news, Nikki Haley is stepping down from her position at the UN as of January, but gave her farewell speech to the UN Council about 2.5 weeks ago. She noted to the UN Council that it is, quote, hopelessly biased against Israel. This is a sad sentiment for her to have to express on her exit speech. She goes on to say, quote, "Over the past 2 years, I've attempted to provide more value in this monthly meeting by using my time to speak about other pressing problems in the Middle East." Haley goes on to say, "I've done it to illustrate that the most of the region's problems have absolutely nothing to do with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and I've done it to encourage the UN to move away from its, quote, obsession with Israel." Haley broke from tradition in even addressing these issues in her farewell speech. The General Assembly, for example, rejected a U.S.-led resolution only 3 weeks ago to condemn terrorism by Hamas. However, in the past 2 or 3 years, it has passed more than 700 resolutions to condemn Israel. In her speech, she went on to reiterate how the UN Council is doing nothing productive towards peace and, in fact, making conditions for Palestinians in the region worse by de facto. Israel will thrive without a peace, because a peace at any cost is no peace at all, and it's not needed by Israel. Israel does want a peace. They want a fair peace, a peace of coexistence. The evidence has always proved that the PA leadership and the leadership in Gaza doesn't want a coexisting peace, but a peace that is an annihilation. And that is not a fair peace. That's a Hitler-type peace. So as we reflect on the next year, upcoming, may I say Shavua Tov, have a great week, and I'll see you next year. Happy Christmas, Happy New Year. Enjoy your week.